The city was a relentless whirlwind, a cacophony of honking horns and chattering crowds, where ambition ran high and time ran short. This was my daily life as an investment banker in Manhattan. At 40, I had spent 15 years navigating the intense currents of the financial world, often losing myself in the ceaseless demands of the job. My mornings began before dawn. The alarm would blare at 5 a.m., a harsh reminder that the world waited for no one. I would groggily reach out to silence it, then lie there for a moment, staring at the ceiling. The apartment was silent, save for the soft hum of the city outside. Emma and Max would still be asleep, lost in their dreams. I would slip out of bed, careful not to wake Emma, and head to the kitchen. The coffee machine was my first stop, its mechanical whirring a comforting sound in the pre-dawn quiet. As the aroma of brewing coffee filled the air, I would prepare for the day ahead, mentally ticking off meetings and tasks. By 6 a.m., I would be out the door, joining the river of commuters flowing toward the heart of the city. The subway was a microcosm of New York itself, bustling, diverse, and always in motion. Faces blurred together, each person lost in their own world, driven by their own ambitions. The office tower loomed large, a monolith of steel and glass reaching toward the sky. As I stepped into the lobby, the familiar buzz of the trading floor greeted me. Phones rang incessantly, and the clatter of keyboards formed a constant backdrop. Here, deals were made, fortunes built and lost in the blink of an eye. My days were a whirlwind of activity. Meetings, conference calls, and endless spreadsheets consumed my time. Lunch was often a hurried affair, a sandwich eaten at my desk while I reviewed market trends. The pressure was immense, but I thrived on it. There was a certain thrill in the high-stakes world of finance, a rush that kept me going. Yet amidst the chaos, there was always a part of me that yearned for the tranquility of home. Emma and Max were my anchors, grounding me in a world that often felt like it was spinning out of control. Our apartment, perched high above the bustling streets, was a sanctuary from the madness below. It was a place where we could be a family, away from the demands of work and the noise of the city. Emma and I had been married for 15 years, a lifetime by some standards. We had met in college, our paths crossing in a crowded lecture hall. She had been studying art history, and I, finance. On the surface, we couldn't have been more different, but there was an undeniable spark between us. We complemented each other perfectly, her calm demeanor balancing my intense drive. Our son Max was the heart of our family. At 12, he was a curious and energetic boy, always eager to learn and explore. He had Emma's inquisitive nature and my determination, a combination that promised great things for his future. Our evenings were often spent helping him with his homework, discussing his latest interests, or simply enjoying a movie together. Despite the demands of my job, I always made time for them. Weekends were sacred, a respite from the relentless pace of the weekdays. We would escape the city, exploring the parks and museums that dotted New York. It was in these moments that I felt truly alive, connected to the people who mattered most. But lately, a shadow had crept into our lives. Emma had become distant, her smiles more reserved, her laughter less frequent. She often attended late-night work events, returning home exhausted and distracted. The growing sense of unease gnawed at me, whispering that something was amiss. I tried to brush it off, attributing it to the stresses of her job. Emma worked as a project manager for an art gallery, a role that often demanded long hours and intense focus. But the changes in her behavior were hard to ignore. She was more secretive, her phone always within arm's reach, her conversations hushed. It was as if a wall had been erected between us, one that I couldn't seem to breach. Our once lively and warm home felt colder, the distance between us a palpable presence. I found myself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying our conversations, trying to pinpoint when things had started to change. Emma's late nights, her guarded expressions, the flicker of guilt in her eyes, it all pointed to something more than just work stress. Despite my growing suspicions, I hesitated to confront her. I didn't want to believe that there could be something more sinister at play. After all, we had built a life together, 15 years of shared dreams and struggles. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was growing, its tendrils wrapping around my heart, squeezing tighter with each passing day. The city outside continued its relentless pace, unaware of the turmoil brewing within our home. as I stood by the window, looking out at the glittering skyline. I couldn't shake the feeling that our seemingly perfect life was teetering on the edge of a precipice, and I was powerless to stop the impending fall. Emma's behavior was a stark contrast to the woman I had known for years. She had always been transparent about her work, often sharing stories about her colleagues and the projects she was managing. Now her phone was perpetually glued to her hand, and she took calls in whispered tones, stepping out of the room whenever it rang. When I asked her about it, she would brush off my concerns with a forced smile, saying it was just work stress. Her late-night work events became more frequent, and her excuses more flimsy. "We have a new exhibit launching," she would say, avoiding my eyes. "I need to be there to oversee everything." I wanted to believe her, to trust that she was telling the truth, but the nagging doubt in my mind refused to be silenced. One evening, as she prepared to leave for yet another work event, I watched her with a growing sense of unease. She spent an unusually long time getting ready, carefully choosing her outfit, applying makeup with meticulous precision. It felt like she was dressing for someone else, not for a professional event. She noticed me watching and gave me a quick peck on the cheek. "Don't wait up," she said lightly, grabbing her bag and heading out the door. The silence in the apartment was deafening after she left. I wandered through the rooms, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling. Max was in his room, engrossed in a book, oblivious to the tension that had settled over our home. I envied his innocence, his ability to lose himself in a world of imagination. I sat down at the kitchen table, staring at my phone. The idea of tracking Emma had crossed my mind before, but I had always dismissed it as paranoid and invasive. Yet, as the minutes ticked by, my resolve weakened. I needed to know. I needed to understand what was happening to my marriage. With a heavy heart, I opened the family locator app. Emma's location pinged from a trendy downtown bar, not the office as she had claimed. My heart sank, a mix of confusion and dread washing over me. This was no work event. Determined to uncover the truth, I decided to investigate further. The next day, I called Emma's office to confirm the event she had mentioned. The receptionist's puzzled response was the confirmation I dreaded. "I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson, but there was no event scheduled last night." The weight of her deception hit me like a tidal wave. I couldn't ignore the evidence any longer. Emma was lying to me. The woman I had trusted implicitly for 15 years was hiding something, and I needed to find out what it was. That evening, I waited until Emma left for another supposed work event. This time, I followed her. My hands gripped the steering wheel tightly as I navigated the city streets, my mind racing with 1,000 possibilities. The family locator app showed her heading towards the same downtown bar. When I arrived, I parked a few blocks away and walked to the bar. The neon sign buzzed softly in the night, casting a cold light on the pavement. I slipped inside, the dim lighting and loud music providing a cloak of anonymity. My eyes scanned the room, searching for Emma. I found her in a private booth at the back, laughing and leaning in close to a man I didn't recognize. He was younger, his hand resting casually on her arm, their body language intimate and familiar. The sight sent a jolt of betrayal through me, a cold, piercing pain that lodged itself deep in my chest. I fought the urge to confront them, knowing that I needed solid proof before I could accuse her. Discreetly, I took out my phone and captured photos and videos of their interaction. Every laugh, every touch, was a dagger in my heart. But I knew I had to gather as much evidence as possible. Leaving the bar, my mind was a maelstrom of anger and sorrow. The truth was undeniable now. Emma was not just having drinks, she was emotionally and physically close to this man. Our marriage, our life together, was built on a foundation that was crumbling beneath my feet. The drive home was a blur. I replayed the evening's events in my mind, each detail sharpening the pain of betrayal. As I pulled into our driveway, the lights in our apartment were off. Emma wasn't home yet. I sat in the car for a moment, the silence pressing in around me. The life I had known was slipping away, and I was left to pick up the pieces of a shattered reality. The next evening, I felt a sense of determination mixed with dread as I prepared to confront the truth head-on. Emma had once again mentioned a late-night work event, and I knew this was my chance to gather the final pieces of evidence I needed. Her dismissive attitude only fueled my resolve. I called her office again, and the response was the same: no event scheduled. With my heart pounding, I checked the family locator app once more. As expected, her location showed she was at a different spot this time, a cozy Caf GC, known for its intimate ambiance. I arrived at the Caf GC and parked a few blocks away, my mind racing with thoughts of what I might find. The street was lined with couples and groups of friends, their laughter and chatter contrasting sharply with the turmoil inside me. I walked briskly towards the Caf GC, trying to keep my emotions in check. As I entered, the warm, dim lighting and the soft murmur of conversation created a sense of intimacy that felt almost suffocating. I scanned the room, my eyes locking onto a corner booth where Emma sat with the same man. They were engrossed in conversation, their heads close together, hands occasionally brushing in a way that spoke of familiarity and comfort. I positioned myself discreetly, ensuring I had a clear view of them. The sight of Emma smiling and laughing with another man was a knife twisting in my gut. I took out my phone and started recording. Every affectionate glance, every touch was captured, each moment adding weight to the evidence of her betrayal. It was clear now. This was more than a casual encounter. The way they interacted, the ease with which they communicated, it was all too intimate. The pain of seeing my wife with someone else was almost unbearable, but I knew I had to endure it to get the proof I needed. After what felt like an eternity, I decided I had enough. I left the Caf GC, my heart heavy with the burden of what I had witnessed. The drive home was silent, the city lights blurring past as I tried to process the reality of Emma's infidelity. When Emma returned home later that night, I was waiting. She looked surprised to see me up, her smile faltering as she noticed the intensity of my gaze. "Hey, you're still up?" she asked, trying to sound casual. I stood, holding up my phone. "We need to talk, Emma." Her eyes flicked to the phone and she paled. "Alex, what is this about?" I opened the photo gallery, showing her the pictures and videos I had taken. "Who is he, Emma? And why are you lying to me?" Her face went through a range of emotions: shock, guilt, and finally, a sort of resignation. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. The silence was deafening, each second stretching out painfully. I couldn't hold back any longer. "You've been lying to me for months. All those late-night work events, all those secretive phone calls. How long has this been going on?" Emma took a step back, her eyes filling with tears. "Alex, it's not what you think. I can explain." "Explain what? That you've been cheating on me? That you've been seeing him behind my back?" My voice was rising, the fury I had tried to contain spilling out. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I never meant for it to go this far. He was just someone to talk to, someone who understood me, but I swear it never went beyond that." Her words felt hollow, empty. The evidence I had gathered told a different story. "Do you think I'm stupid, Emma? Do you think I can't see what's right in front of me?" The confrontation escalated, voices raised, emotions running high. Every accusation, every denial, felt like another blow to the fragile remnants of our relationship. The foundation of trust we had built over 15 years was crumbling, leaving behind only the raw, painful truth of her betrayal. As the argument raged on, the reality of our situation became painfully clear. Our marriage, once a source of joy and stability, was now a battleground of accusations and broken promises. The life we had built together was unraveling, and there was no going back. The days following our confrontation were a blur of emotions. I alternated between anger and heartbreak, struggling to process the reality of Emma's betrayal. The woman I had loved and trusted for 15 years had deceived me, and the life we had built together was now in ruins. I felt adrift, the ground beneath me unstable and uncertain. Emma's presence in the apartment became a constant reminder of our fractured relationship. She avoided me, spending most of her time in the guest room or out of the house. When we did cross paths, the tension was palpable. Our conversations, once filled with warmth and intimacy, were now clipped and awkward. We were like strangers, bound together by a shared history that now felt like a lie. I knew I couldn't continue living like this. The pain of Emma's betrayal was too raw, too overwhelming. I needed to take decisive action to protect myself and Max. With a heavy heart, I contacted a lawyer to discuss the possibility of divorce. The thought of ending our marriage was devastating, but I knew it was the only way to move forward. The lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Marcia, listened patiently as I recounted the events of the past few months. She offered practical advice and a clear path forward. We discussed the division of assets, custody arrangements for Max, and the steps needed to gather more evidence of Emma's infidelity to secure a favorable settlement. Marcia's calm professionalism was a balm to my frazzled nerves. For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. There was a way out of this nightmare, a way to rebuild my life and protect Max from the fallout of our broken marriage. I left her office with a sense of purpose, determined to take control of the situation. Back at home, I began the painful process of gathering more evidence. I compiled the photos and videos I had taken, along with screenshots of Emma's messages and call logs. Each piece of evidence was a dagger to my heart, but I knew it was necessary to secure the future for myself and Max. One evening, as I sat in the living room sifting through the evidence, Emma came home. She paused in the doorway, her eyes wary. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. Emma nodded and sat down across from me. The silence stretched between us, heavy and oppressive. "I've spoken to a lawyer," I began, watching her reaction closely. Her eyes widened, but she didn't interrupt. "I'm filing for divorce." Her face crumpled, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Alex, please," she pleaded. "I know I made a mistake, but we can work through this. We can go to counseling, anything. Just don't throw away everything we've built." Her words stung, but I remained resolute. "Emma, you betrayed me. You lied to me for months. I can't trust you anymore. And without trust, there's no foundation for our marriage." She reached across the table, her hand trembling. "I love you, Alex. I never stopped loving you. I was just lost, and he made me feel something I hadn't felt in a long time. But it didn't mean anything." I pulled my hand away, the pain of her touch too much to bear. "It meant enough for you to risk everything we had. I'm sorry, Emma, but this is the end." The following days were a whirlwind of legal proceedings and emotional upheaval. Emma, realizing the gravity of the situation, made several attempts to reconcile. She left heartfelt notes around the apartment, sent me long messages apologizing and begging for another chance. Each plea was a reminder of the love we once shared, but also of the deep wound her betrayal had inflicted. The divorce process was grueling, each step a painful reminder of the life we were dismantling. Marcia guided me through it with a steady hand, ensuring that I remained focused on protecting my interests and securing a stable future for Max. The evidence of Emma's infidelity played a crucial role, allowing us to negotiate a settlement that provided for Max and me while minimizing the financial fallout. Emma moved out of our apartment, taking only the essentials. The emptiness she left behind was a stark contrast to the warmth and vibrancy that had once filled our home. Max and I adjusted to the new reality, our bond growing stronger as we navigated the challenges together. I focused on being the best father I could be, ensuring that Max felt loved and supported, despite the upheaval in our lives. With Emma gone, I threw myself into rebuilding. I took up running to clear my mind, finding solace in the rhythmic pounding of my feet against the pavement. I reconnected with old friends, their support a lifeline during the darkest days. Therapy sessions helped me process the whirlwind of emotions, each session peeling back the layers of pain and anger, revealing the resilience beneath. Slowly, the wound began to heal, replaced by a scar that marked a new beginning. The life I had known was gone, but in its place, a new one was taking shape. One built on the lessons of the past and the promise of a future where trust and honesty would be the foundation. The divorce was finalized with a settlement that ensured Max and I would be taken care of. Emma moved out, leaving behind the echoes of our shared memories. The apartment felt empty without her presence, but it was a necessary emptiness, a space to rebuild and heal. Max and I settled into a new routine, one that focused on stability and healing. Mornings started with breakfast together, a quiet time where we could connect before the day began. Max would chatter about his school projects and friends, and I would listen, grateful for these moments of normalcy. It was a stark contrast to the tumultuous days leading up to the divorce. His resilience amazed me, his ability to find joy in the everyday a source of strength. Weekends became our sanctuary, a time to escape the city and explore the parks and museums. We took up new hobbies, trying our hand at photography and hiking. The fresh air and open spaces were a balm to our wounded spirits. Max would run ahead on the trails, his laughter echoing through the trees, and I would follow, my heart lighter with each step. Reconnecting with old friends was a crucial part of my healing process. I reached out to people I had lost touch with over the years, their familiar voices and shared memories a reminder that I wasn't alone. We would meet for coffee or dinner, catching up on each other's lives and offering support. Their presence was a lifeline, a network of care that helped me navigate the emotional aftermath of the divorce. I also made new friends, people who were outside the sphere of my previous life with Emma. These new connections brought fresh perspectives and a sense of renewal. They saw me not as the man whose marriage had crumbled, but as someone with potential and resilience. Their acceptance and encouragement were invaluable as I took tentative steps toward rebuilding my identity. Therapy became a cornerstone of my recovery. My therapist, Dr. Ellis, was a patient and insightful guide through the labyrinth of my emotions. Our sessions were intense, each one peeling back the layers of pain, anger, and betrayal. We delved into my fears and insecurities, exploring how the events had impacted my sense of self-worth and trust. Dr. Ellis helped me see that the road to healing was not about forgetting, but about understanding and growing from the experience. "You're doing well, Alex," he would say, his calm voice a steadying presence. "It's okay to grieve, but it's also okay to find joy again." Finding joy was a gradual process. I started by rediscovering activities that I had once loved, but had neglected during the years of my marriage. Running became a daily ritual, a way to clear my mind and find a sense of peace. The rhythmic pounding of my feet against the pavement was therapeutic, each stride a step away from the past and toward a future of my own making. I also took up cooking, experimenting with new recipes and enjoying the creative process. The kitchen became a place of solace, where I could lose myself in the act of preparing meals for Max and me. We would sit down together, sharing the fruits of my labor and talking about our day. These simple moments of connection were deeply healing, reinforcing the bond between us. As time passed, I began to open myself up to the possibility of new relationships. It was a cautious and tentative process, fraught with uncertainty. I met someone through mutual friends, a woman named Sarah. She was kind, empathetic, and had a gentle strength that drew me in. We started as friends, our conversations easy and unforced. There was no rush, no pressure, VG, just a natural progression as we got to know each other. Sarah understood the complexities of my situation, her patience and understanding a balm to my wary heart. She valued honesty and loyalty, qualities that had become paramount to me. Our relationship grew slowly, each step forward a testament to the resilience I had cultivated through the pain. With Sarah, I found a sense of hope, a belief that I could trust and love again. Max, ever the perceptive one, noticed the changes in me. "You seem happier, Dad," he said one evening as we played a board game. His observation brought a smile to my face. I was happier, or at least on the path to happiness. The journey was far from over, but the direction was clear. Emma faced the consequences of her actions, rebuilding her life independently. We maintained a civil relationship for Max's sake, our interactions limited to discussions about his well-being and school activities. She respected my boundaries, understanding that the trust between us was irrevocably broken. Life gradually found a new rhythm. The pain of the past became a distant echo, a reminder of the strength I had discovered within myself. The scars remained, but they no longer defined me. I was a father, a friend, and a man who had faced betrayal and come out stronger. As the months turned into years, the future opened up before me, full of promise and possibilities. Max and I continued to explore the world together, our bond growing deeper with each adventure. Sarah became a cherished part of our lives, her presence a testament to the power of resilience and the possibility of new beginnings. Rebuilding after betrayal was a journey of discovery, healing, and growth. It taught me the importance of self-respect, the value of genuine connections, and the strength that comes from facing adversity head-on. With each step forward, I embraced the lessons of the past and the hope of the future, ready to create a life filled with trust, love, and joy. As months turned into a year, life started to regain its rhythm. The pain of Emma's betrayal no longer consumed my every thought, though the scar it left would always be a part of me. I invested time in Max, ensuring he felt loved and supported despite the upheaval in our lives. Our bond grew stronger with each passing day, becoming a source of stability and comfort. I found solace in routine and the small joys of daily life. Morning runs became a cherished ritual, a time for reflection and renewal. The steady rhythm of my feet against the pavement was a reminder of the resilience I had discovered within myself. Each run left me feeling invigorated, ready to face the challenges of the day. Max and I continued to explore our shared hobbies. Photography outings became a weekend staple, each excursion an opportunity to capture the beauty of the world around us and to see life through a new lens. Hiking trails and nature walks offered moments of peace and connection, the fresh air and open spaces a balm to our spirits. Reconnecting with friends and making new ones played a crucial role in my healing process. I reached out to people I had lost touch with over the years, their familiar voices and shared memories a source of comfort. We would meet for coffee or dinner, catching up on each other's lives and offering mutual support. These connections reminded me that I wasn't alone, that there was a network of care and understanding surrounding me. Sarah became an integral part of our lives. Our relationship, built on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect, grew stronger with each passing day. She was a source of comfort and joy, her presence a reminder that it was possible to love and trust again. Our bond deepened naturally, grounded in shared values and experiences. One crisp autumn evening, we decided to take a trip to the countryside. We rented a small cabin near a picturesque lake, the perfect setting for a weekend of relaxation and reflection. The drive there was filled with laughter and conversation, the anticipation of a peaceful getaway lifting our spirits. The cabin was charming, nestled among tall trees with a view of the serene lake. We spent our days exploring the surrounding trails, our evenings by the fireplace, sharing stories and dreams for the future. It was during this trip that I felt a profound sense of peace, a realization that I had come a long way from the turmoil of the past year. Max, ever the curious and adventurous boy, thrived in this environment. He and Sarah formed a close bond, their relationship blossoming naturally. It warmed my heart to see him so happy, to see the ease with which he embraced this new chapter in our lives. One evening, as we sat by the lake watching the sunset, Max turned to me and said, "Dad, I like it here. It feels like home." His words resonated deeply. Home was no longer defined by a physical space or a past filled with pain, but by the love and connections we built each day. It was in the laughter we shared, the support we offered each other, and the hope we nurtured for the future. As the months passed, our life together continued to flourish. Sarah and I began to talk about the future in concrete terms, discussing the possibility of moving in together and even marriage. These conversations were filled with optimism and a shared vision for what lay ahead. Max was an integral part of these discussions, his thoughts and feelings valued and respected. The transition was gradual and thoughtful. Sarah moved in with us, bringing with her a sense of warmth and stability. Our apartment, once a place of heartache, transformed into a home filled with love and laughter. We created new traditions, celebrated milestones, and supported each other through the challenges that life inevitably brought. Max continued to excel in school, his confidence and happiness evident in his daily interactions. He was thriving, and I couldn't have been prouder. His resilience and positivity were a testament to the strength of our bond and the supportive environment we had created. Sarah's presence in our lives brought a sense of balance and joy that had been missing for so long. We made time for each other, nurturing our relationship while also ensuring that Max felt secure and loved. Our family dynamic was harmonious, built on mutual respect and understanding. One evening, as we sat together after dinner, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "I've been thinking," she began, her eyes twinkling. "What do you think about taking a trip together? Just the three of us?" Max's eyes lit up with excitement. "Can we go to the beach?" he asked eagerly. I smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude for the life we were building together. "The beach sounds perfect," I agreed. Planning the trip was a joyful experience, filled with anticipation and excitement. We chose a quiet seaside town, known for its beautiful beaches and relaxed atmosphere. The trip was a celebration of our journey, a testament to the strength and resilience that had brought us to this point. The beach was everything we had hoped for: the sound of the waves, the salty breeze, the endless horizon. We spent our days exploring the shoreline, building sandcastles, and collecting seashells. Max's laughter filled the air, his joy infectious. One evening, as we watched the sunset over the ocean, I felt a profound sense of contentment. The past year's struggles and heartache had led to this moment, a reminder that from pain and betrayal, new beginnings could emerge. Sarah leaned into me, her head resting on my shoulder. "This is perfect," she whispered. "It is," I agreed, feeling a deep sense of peace. Our journey was far from over, but I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, with love, trust, and resilience. Moving forward from betrayal was a journey of healing and growth. It taught me the importance of self-respect, the value of genuine connections, and the strength that comes from facing adversity head-on. With each step forward, I embraced the lessons of the past and the hope of the future, ready to create a life filled with trust, love, and joy. In the end, it wasn't just about moving on from Emma's betrayal. It was about rediscovering who I was, finding the strength to rebuild, and embracing the possibilities that lay ahead. With Max and Sarah by my side, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement for the future, confident that together, we could face anything life had in store.